What's up, Bear Nation? Welcome inside the Ozarks Digital Desk. I am Chris Pinson alongside Dan Lucy, sports director here for Ozarks First. Now, Dan, we just wrapped up Missouri State football spring camp. They had their final scrimmage/practice day of the entire camp on Saturday, with them getting down in the freezing cold, overcast, nasty, rainy, chilly temperatures. But they were out there playing in football weather, as the late George Carlin would say. Right? You have been here, right, for a little bit of time. And in that time, you've seen a lot of changes. But, of course, this July, the Bears are going to change overall as an entire athletic program from FCS level for football and the D1 level into FBS level as they join Conference USA and leave the Valley. So I want to get your thoughts first. I mean, what did you think about the way the Bears have been ending their time in the Valley across the board? And what do you think that Conference USA is going to bring?
Well, it's kind of disappointing with the Bears basketball going out the way that they did last place and a first-round bounce out of the tournament there. The women did a little bit better, the Lady Bears, but then they didn't get to the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, a little bit of disappointment in that situation. With football, I thought it was very interesting what Coach Beard did on Saturday. First of all, they kind of moved the time of the game earlier in the day, which ended up moving it into the teeth of the weather.
Yeah, you could say that again.
I mean, it would have been easy for him to say, okay, let's just wait until 1 or let's wait till 2 where we get a nice day. But he wanted to get his guys out there and get them out in the rain, get them out in the wind, and get a little bit tough. You know, how tough are these guys going to be? And he was really proud of them, as we'll hear a little bit later with some of the sound that he had after the game. But it was not a pretty day out there. You were out there taking some of these pictures. And it was just downright nasty, but they went after it.
They did, and luckily, right, I got to shoot most of this from the privacy and dryness of the press box. But as you can see there, Jamari Robinson, taking that little reverse, that jet sweep. The thing that I believe is going to be a big help for Missouri State this year, right? It's not the fact that obviously losing Hunter Wood was a key, right? That's a bad thing. But between Jamari Robinson and James Blackstring, those two have really been able to give new targets and new reliability and trust with quarterback Jacob Clark. He really finally put together a full season last year, being healthy and playing and putting up all kinds of new records for the program. But when you lose key guys like a Hunter Wood or others that were able to really get you going and get the ball down the field, that's going to be tough. I mean, you've seen this program change a number of times and players come and go. But I think the best thing for the Bears right now is that, again, with this passing attack, you've got Jamari Robinson having a great spring, which Coach Beard talked about in Saturday's presser. James Blackstring's coming on strong. Dash Luke, he did not get to play in this scrimmage on Saturday. He suffered an injury, and he was not able to go. So with him also being a returner, I think that's going to bode really well for the continuity of this group as they try to play. But let's hear from head coach Ryan Beard and what he thinks about what he's seen entirely over the spring.
For Missouri State Bears football, when you get a chance to go out and play, we're going to do it. I think that scrimmage right there is the epitome of where we're at as a football program and our culture. The guys were fired up. They were ready to play. They didn't flinch. We haven't flinched since we got here, and we said it out there in the group. We're an even-if group. We got here 5 years ago with Coach Petrino. They said, you can't win here. We did. You got a new head coach. Oh, it's going to go back to the way it was. It didn't. Still winning. Going up a level, the big bad FBS. We're going to see if we can't make some noise.
I think that's interesting what you're saying, Chris, there as well. Let's make some noise. Keep in mind that this isn't just a Missouri State Bears football team that's moving up to FBS from, I don't know, some FCS pro. They're coming from the number one conference, the Valley Football Conference, that produces North Dakota State, South Dakota State, all of these powerhouse teams. They're used to playing very tough teams. They're used to playing skilled fifth-year seniors, that kind of thing. So I don't think it's going to be that much of a jarring difference as they go from the Valley Football Conference to Conference USA for football. And, I think that is going to be key. The other thing that's key, and you touched on it before, with Jacob Clark coming back, there are some people coming back on this team, and that doesn't happen in college athletics in 2025 anymore. It seems like everybody changes teams at the end. As soon as the final whistle blows at the end of the last game, even the NCAA basketball championships, you got teams that got to the Final Four that are transferring off of those teams.
That's a great point.
It's just insane. But you've got some of these guys coming back, and I think that's going to be key as well. And you can tell why they're coming back because of Ryan Beard. How excited is he to get ready for Southern Cal?
Yeah, I mean, then again, that's a couple of great points there by you. when you think about what Jacob Clark did last year, right? Setting all kinds of programs, single-season records, most completions, most attempts, most gains of 20 yards or more, throwing for the most touchdowns. I mean, he shattered all the records that were pretty darn tough to do.
Right.
And so for him to do that and then essentially be, right, a free agent in the transfer portal window, very surprised that some other top-tier Division I FBS program didn't come by and snatch him up.
Well, I think it speaks to his character.
Mm-hmm.
I think it speaks to the character of Jacob Clark. I mean, he is, he came here from Minnesota. And,
Yep.
And he was accepted by the Bears. Got hurt. The Bears stayed with him when he got hurt. He's staying with the Bears now.
Yeah, and that's the best part is that, again, with him being back, right, for this senior season, I think the biggest selling point probably from Beard and company was that, look, your teammate last year, one of the main guys in the Bears offense, Jamaree Wright, right? Jacardier Wright is going to get drafted probably this year in this month's draft. Maybe not, but either way.
He'll be in a camp for sure.
He'll be in a camp. He's had pro scouts looking at him since his time. For Clark, this is also another big year for him to go from injury, missing part of the season, to last year having a full season and showing what he can do. I think he realizes that this was his best chance to keep that momentum going and showing off what he's able to do. And again, he's got some new targets, but some returning targets as well. So that's going to be big. And as you mentioned, for Ryan Beard and this coaching staff to be able to retain a lot of their players, that's a big thing because, as you and I both know, some would say that athletes today, right, a little more coddled, a little more sensitive with their ego and their abilities. And when you've got a coaching staff at this level, right, which some would say this is a, quote, maybe like a lily pad, right, to spring to a bigger program, to bring back a lot of your team because they want to come back, not because they have to, that's a very, very big distinction, I think. So let's hear from Coach Beard about what he thinks about this team going from the FCS to the FBS.
It's one letter, right? FCS, FBS, you just change a letter. It doesn't change our process. It doesn't change how we work day in and day out. They've got a bunch of good players in the Conference USA. So do we. We believe in what we're doing here. We believe in these guys up here. And if you want to know what should give you hope, look right up here at these guys. They just went through a 70-80 play scrimmage and the pouring down. It's pretty windy too, pretty chilly. And we got some good work in.
One thing that I have always loved as being an athlete, right? I grew up playing sports, so did you. And one thing that we both know is that, right, coaching styles are very different. Some coaches like Bobby Knight, and they're going to, get crazy and they're going to get loud, right? Some going to be more like Beer, right, who kind of has that quiet confidence. But behind the doors, he's probably getting excited.
Yeah, if you've been to practice, you've seen him get on some guys. So yeah,
he gets animated. But I think the best part about playing for the Bears, and it goes back to your point about so many guys coming back and playing and staying like Jacob Clark, is that he is outspoken about his belief in this team, the confidence that this coaching staff has cultivated through the hard work, through the grind, through showing their players how much they care about them, through showing them through their daily actions how much they want them to succeed, and how the bigger picture is, hey, we're here to coach football. We're here to make you as good as you can. But don't forget, life is even bigger. And they preach that a lot. And I know a lot of coaching staffs do, but we also know not every team and not every coaching staff is created equal.
Right, exactly. And then you take a look at what the schedule looks like for these guys. So this was the last game. And we kind of talked a little bit about this week. They're going to tear up that turf. They're going to put some brand new turf in. They're going to, mark it up a little bit different than it's been in the past. CUSA on the field, obviously, with all that stuff. But it starts off with a pretty big game, right, Chris?
It really does, right? First game of the season coming up in August is going to be at USC. So the Bears are going to Southern California. And with that, you're going to take on the USC Trojans, right? They're in the Rose Bowl. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than that.
It's in the LA Coliseum.
Oh, that too, yeah.
So it's the home of the Olympics, 2 Olympic games that have been there. So that's going to be outstanding for a great introduction to FBS football for Missouri State, is to go to the Coliseum and to play the Trojans.
Yeah, which is, again, it's going to be an electric experience that all those guys on that team are going to be fired up for. Now, after they play that game, then they're going to get to go play UT Martin, right? A rivalry that's been brewing the last couple seasons.
They go to
excuse me, sorry, that's right, Marshall.
So they have to go cross country from the Trojans in Los Angeles all the way to West Virginia to play the Thundering Herd from Marshall, and then it's the home game against Southern Methodist.
Yeah, and again, SMU, one of the teams that made the expanded playoff this past season that just happened, that finally had a 12-team playoff. So you open with USC, then you play Marshall, and then you play SMU, right? USC hasn't been the USC of old, but it's still prestigious, of course. Marshall has always been a decent level Division I program at the FBS level. Then, you get SMU at home. So the first 3 games of your season, it's going to be tough to maybe get a win, but if you are coming to play to try to win, why not try to knock down the big bullies that you got to take home? And I really do believe that home game against SMU is going to be a huge one for momentum, and also it's going to be a great way to set the precedent for what this Bears program hopes will become sellout after sellout now that they're changing in the format.
Well, and it's the first of 3 home games. It goes Southern Methodist, then Tennessee Martin, then Western Kentucky, which Ryan Beard knows a little bit about with Western Kentucky.
Yes, he does, yeah.
That's where he played.
That's exactly right. He played cornerback there. So I'm going to find it interesting how this program develops because, right, last season, really, right, a few months ago, the Bears did rattle off 8 straight wins, right, matching a program high, setting records. But then you did run into, as you mentioned, North Dakota State and South Dakota State. And those 2 games became one-sided results in favor of the visiting teams. So my question for you, Dan, is, at what point do you think that we will be able to see this Bears team start competing? Will it be immediately, or do you think they're going to have to get through those first 3 games and then kind of see, okay, now you've got to settle in. Now you get to play some real conference competition.
Well, yeah, I think that's how it's going to be. I mean, obviously you're going to play Southern Cal, and you'll probably play them tough for maybe the first half of that game. Or they're going to play them tough the whole game. Let's face it, it's Ryan Beard, but then they're playing the Trojans. Then you've got the tough logistics where you go from the West Coast to the East Coast for the second game. Then you come home. But then you're talking about Conference USA. You're not talking about the Valley Football Conference. So you've got teams like Florida International, Liberty, Texas, El Paso,
Middle
Kennesaw
Tennessee
State. These are some of the games where you might see them pick up some traction, especially New Mexico. They have to go on the road. They've got 3 home games, 2 road games at Middle Tennessee and then at New Mexico State and La Cruces, and then they're home and bounce back and forth. But I think in that Conference USA portion, the second half of the season, maybe that's where they start getting some traction. And they're not going to get a bowl game because they're not allowed to have a bowl game. But maybe these last games, especially La Tech at the end of the season, over Thanksgiving, at the end of Thanksgiving holidays, that'll be their bowl game. It'll be a home one.
Exactly. And again, it's going to be
it'll be the Bass Pro Shops Bowl.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Again, they're tearing up the turf right now at Placer Stadium, starting this week, starting today. Actually, seen some pictures of that posted. So Placer's going to get a whole new turf field. The logo design is going to be there. So I really believe that, I've said it before, Patrick Ransdell, the new AD here, he is really trying to get the ball rolling on every single thing that this program has to do to become a true FBS respected program. And whether it's the field, whether it's the donation amount, whether it's the press box, whatever it is, he's going to be the guy to get the ball rolling. They're already doing that. So I do believe that when we see this first game of the season at home, when they play Southern Methodist, and you coming off a playoff appearance by the Pony Express, this is going to be an electric atmosphere. And hopefully, again, we'll have a lot of momentum from USC and the Marshall game. So we will see. But as always, thanks for joining us here on the Sports Desk, and we look forward to more conversation with you.